proudly present the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the ACT Computer Studios in Cape Coral, Florida, it's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up, OG5? I did it again. I was in the middle of getting everything ready, and I forgot to hit record on Audition, but thanks to the redundancy of YouTube, after we go live, I'll just record the first 38 seconds, pop it in, and those you listening to this on the podcast app will never be the wiser. Gordon just rebooted his computer about 20 minutes ago, and as Microsoft does, Microsoft said, F you, we're going to install this big-ass update, and we had Larry waiting in the wings, so hopefully Gordon will be joining us, popping it in any time, but right now joining us via Cape Coral, Florida, longtime guest and friend of the show, local comedian and all-around funny guy and TikToker, Mr. Larry Venturino. Larry, how are you doing today, sir?
Good. What's up, Don? How you doing?
Good, man. It's been a while.
I know. I love coming on your show.
I appreciate having you. You and I were just talking. Right before COVID really started, we were doing the Night of Comedy with What's in Your Head podcast, and then things just kind of got a little dwindled down with COVID and all that. But anyhow, we're talking about maybe getting that back up and running here soon. But all in all, what's everything like right now in the world of comedy and the way everything's going with people? Some people are afraid to go out. Some people take it as a challenge to go out. And some people, like myself, are like, it's just another day. Let's just go out.
Yeah. No, exactly. Just like living your life. But yeah, it seems like the clubs are, and shows in general are getting packed and people are coming out to the shows. Locally, we haven't had any real problems or anything like that. Like the shows we've been doing have been pretty good, and I'm starting to really add a lot of dates to my shows for the rest of the year and then into 2022. So I'm really psyched about that.
I know you had some trips to New York, some trips to Las Vegas, and you got any out-of-state trips booked and coming up here soon?
I don't have anything booked right now. We just came back from New York and Rhode Island back in June. Right now I'm focused on, I have like October is like all over Florida. I have a couple of different clubs that I'm going to be doing towards the end of this year and then into next year. And then I plan on maybe taking another trip up north, maybe in May or June of 2022. So, and then whatever happens in between, if it takes me out of state or just different places in Florida, I'm trying to focus on right now.
Do you kind of have to adjust your set, or obviously the sense of humor, the energy in a place like Vegas or even more importantly like New York? I'm sure it's substantially different than playing a gig here in Southwest Florida. Do you adjust your set at all, or do you just go with it and
Well, it's been a little bit since I've been to Vegas, and the last show I did there did not go well for me. I don't think it had anything to do with adjusting jokes or anything. It was just like a weird night. But just being up north into New York and Rhode Island, you can tell that some of the jokes, sometimes people are a little bit hesitant, but then you kind of can turn that into like kind of just bashing them for being too woke. But I don't care. Like, so I did a hometown show. I'm originally from Rhode Island, and so I was there, and I said a couple of things that I was having a really good show, and a couple of things that I said, like, this was not exactly what we do in Rhode Island right now, and I'm like, I live in America, not in Florida.
Exactly.
We say whatever we want down there. We joke about whatever, but you know what? After all these shows, even in New York, if they were a little bit uptight about a joke, they do seem to still enjoy your show. It's just like almost like in person or when it's happening, they are afraid to maybe completely support it sometimes, but it doesn't matter. Like
it's kind of like when you're making a wife joke and you can see the husband wanting to laugh, but he knows the wife's next to him, so he doesn't want to get in trouble. It's like that, but in the woke version.
Yeah, well, so not only is my show not woke, but it's also definitely bashing his marriage and wives and things like that. And so like I have to combat that throughout my set. you see my show. There's a couple of things that like the husbands may not really be willing to laugh at right away, but you could also just turn that around and make fun of them while that's happening. So it's fun, and people loosen up usually.
Well, Gordon just sent me a text. He's getting ready to come on here shortly.
Cool.
I figured, well, while we're waiting for him, I ran a search earlier. I was going to look for one of these generic articles, Rolling Stone's top 10 comedians of all time and all that, which is,
Yeah.
they're usually slanted. But I came across something else, and when I Googled it, it went to all, and it says comedians from sources across the web. And so this is a list in which Google has compiled. And I didn't want to pull up the entire list, but I got about 33 of them here. If you had, as a comedian, as a working comedian yourself, who would you say is number one on the list of all time comedians according to whatever algorithm? I know this is not providing a lot of detail, but Google don't say, hey, based on this algorithm, it just says from across the web. This is what you get when you Google top 10 comedians of all time. Who would you say is number one?
Oh, me, for sure.
Larry Venturino, not on the list. Okay, let's preface it with saying top 10 comedians who could fill an arena. Let's just put maybe.
Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
Put that level
fill
in
an arena. I would say, I'm going to guess right now, I'm going to say Sebastian Maniscalco, possibly.
Not on the top 33.
Really?
Now, keep in mind that there's going to be some old cats on here too, because this is across the web. But think logically. Who kind of made a comeback within the last year or two with some Netflix specials?
What is it, Chappelle?
Yes, Chappelle is listed as number one.
Yeah, I honestly, you don't have to believe me. I was gonna say Chappelle, but the thing is, I mentioned Sebastian, and it's really kind of crazy to me that he's not on that list, because I mean he sells out like hockey arenas. Like he sold out like a couple of nights in a row at BB&T Center. I mean he has theater wise, he has seven shows here in November in Fort Myers that are completely sold out. And he's like all over the place, and he's playing like these big places. So that's why I kind of mentioned him, but I figured, obviously Chappelle would be up there.
Well, the thing about Maniscalco is he's kind of a comedian's lover comedian, meaning a lot of your general, occasional comedian listener. And the reason I say this is, granted, it's been 4 years now, but when I worked for Stan and Haney and we gave away some tickets, we had a couple people not knowing who he was versus of Dave Chappelle. This is the first time I've ever drank a Mountain Dew on here, and look, because of the bottle's green, it's like,
oh, that's cool.
It's fun. Like mystery. Okay, I just sent Gordon another invite. He should be here momentarily. Let's go. Who do you think's number two?
Oh man, all time. I don't know. I mean, you have to think of all like Carlin and.
Carlin's
Pryor,
number 4.
Eddie Murphy, probably Eddie Murphy.
Okay, you just listed 3 of the top 5. Pryor's number 3, which some people say he should be more like a number 2. Carlin's number 4, which I had the great pleasure to see him before he passed away when he played Barbara B. Mann. So I was thrilled with that. So, but number 2 is Chris Rock, which kind of makes sense, especially if we go based on the whole household name versus everybody else. You said Eddie Murphy. He's number 5.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld, number 6 on this list.
Yeah.
Robin Williams, don't you think he should be higher than 7?
No. I mean, I guess you'll see of people like looking for him and searching him and watching his stuff. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that he's in the top 10 for sure, but
I think most people 30 and under know him as more of a stellar actor versus a stand-up. But back in the day, I don't know if it was in New York, if it was Caroline's or what, but there was a bit they would play on Comedy Central every once in a while where he was just coked out of his gourd. And that's the one where he did The Old Man, where he kind of did the man from the future at the very end, and that was his closing bit. That is a fantastic, that whole set he did, and I've looked, I can't find it on YouTube or anywhere. That in and of itself is a fantastic bit. It says Gordon's coming in. Anyhow, so while we're waiting on him to come in here, further on down the list, Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
Once again, he's a comedian's comedian. I don't know if the general population knows him, and how much do you think his material would stand up in general pop? Let's not say today. Today's too woke, but let's say 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of a weird person to talk to about this stuff because first of all, let me go back real quick. You kind of mentioned Sebastian as being a comedian's comedian. Like, I know a lot of people who do not like him at all, like other comedians. And I think he's fantastic, whatever. I actually really like him and stuff. And so it's kind of surprising that, for him to be a comedian's comedian. I don't really see that. Bill Hicks, I don't know. I don't like to talk shit about anyone. Obviously, these people are way better and more well known than me, obviously, and they always will be. But it's just sometimes I'm just not into, like, I don't know how much he translates now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's kind of like how NWA was back in the day. They got more notoriety for the things they got arrested for than the actual content in which they put out.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got to give him credit for the fact that, he was basically the civil rights comedian, not in the content of which he was fighting for, but his overwhelming desire to put himself out there and getting at risk at being arrested for the things he was saying, to the point that a lot of his shows near the end was just him reading transcripts from his court proceedings.
Yeah.
And it kind of almost turned into a spoken word, fuck the man, session near the end. Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting to me that this list hasn't been affected by the cancel culture.
Yeah, well, he's tremendous. He's one of the greatest of all time. I would put him above some of the other guys. I'm not even going to say who, whatever. I mean, again, who am I? But to say whatever. And I don't typically just like to really judge other comics, but Louis C.K. to me is one of the funniest and greatest of all time. I like him more than some of those other people on the list. And so I'm not surprised by that. I think he's transcended his incident a little bit to the fact that people still like him so much, and they recognize how good he is, that he's still super, super popular, and it's not gonna it didn't really completely destroy his career.
Well, interestingly enough, on the list, wedged in between Bill Cosby and Louis C.K. is Kevin Hart. And so Kevin Hart is actually in between Bill Cosby. So somehow he got wedged in between the two guys who kind of, obviously Bill Cosby is on a different level, but clearly it's kind of just interesting to see that Google hasn't been affected by the whole cancel thing. Hi, Gordon. Yeah. How are you? Frustrated?
I'm about to go to jail myself.
Tell you what, Larry has a brick background. You got the hardwood floor. I think if I change mine to the corrugated steel, we'll look like the shopping section in Home Depot. Real quick, just to bump through here. Mitch Hedberg is after Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
Mitch Hedberg, he did a lot. His stuff was very on the nose and very punny, and I loved his stuff.
I always thought he was in the same vein as Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright's not on this list. No, I only pulled the first.
See, the list something needs to happen. I don't because to me, Stephen Wright is in the top 3 of all time.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I have 2 top comedians. He's one of them, and obviously Mitch Hedberg is compared to Stephen Wright a lot, but they have a little bit. There's a little bit of difference in their deliveries, and then just kind of what they talked about, whatever. But obviously a lot of similarities too. But I think
once again, I don't know what the algorithm is. This is just what came up on Google. It says comedians from across the web.
Oh, that's the problem. It came up on Google.
Well, I was telling Larry I was looking for like a story top 10 comedian. I just Googled top 10 comedians. I was expecting to find like a Rolling Stone or whatever, but Google actually had this where they just showed all these photos, and I just thought it was interesting in the order. Bill Burr, Steve Martin is before David Letterman. But once again, it's been since the 70s since Letterman's done stand up. I mean, if we're talking stand up more than after David Letterman's Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Lenny Bruce is after Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don Rickles. Oh, I'm sorry, no, I missed. Stephen Wright is on here. He's right after Don Rickles and before Joan Rivers.
Oh, okay.
And then Jim Gaffigan, Red Fox. Norm Macdonald, sadly, passed away. That's a huge loss.
Yeah.
But once we found out that he had actually been fighting that cancer for 9 years, it explains why his content has dropped off as far as him doing. I mean, he still did some work, but he definitely didn't do the amount. Jim Gaffigan, Red Fox, Norm Macdonald, Sarah Silverman, Bob Newhart, Jim Carrey, Jonathan Winters, Eddie Izzard, Bernie Mac, Patton Oswalt, John Mulaney, Tig Notaro, Conan O'Brien, Sam Kinison, Mike Birbiglia, who's great, Ellen DeGeneres, and I think nowadays most people just consider her a talk show host, Johnny Carson, and Ricky Gervais.
You know, some of that, like, I know it's the algorithm and whatever, but some of that, like, they would not be on my list if I made a list, for sure.
Some of them don't even hold up to today.
Yeah.
You know?
No. And here's a couple things. I'm not going to completely point out things, but some of the, you should respect, like, the old timers and what they did and some of the groundbreaking things that they did. But it's almost like when people like our age are looking back or they're making a list and they add some of these people on there, it's almost like adding them because you feel like you have to, or you're trying to look like,
or they hold a
comedy.
Pay homage, you know?
Yeah, they hold a certain place in your heart, like 40-year-old saying Goonies was great.
Are you saying that Gallagher was not on that list?
Whoa, hold up. The Goonies is great.
Goonies is good for a 13-year-old. I still watch it. I still enjoy it, but I'm sure my dad didn't enjoy it when he was in his 30s when it came out.
It is my wife's favorite movie, and anytime it's on cable,
it's my favorite movie, too. It's my favorite movie ever.
You know what I would love to do? I would love to rent out a movie theater and invite a bunch of 18 to 23-year-olds, hide cameras in there, and sit down and watch Revenge of the Nerds 1, 2, and 3 with them. And just watch your heads fucking explode. Because the first one basically is a date rape scene. When he goes into the moon roof with his Darth Vader helmet on, she thinks he's the jock. They have sex. Then he reveals himself. Oh, you're that nerd. Okay. It's like, really? You just had sex with somebody you didn't, and obviously with all the nudity in there, just people's heads would explode.
Talking about movies that don't hold up, I just happened to catch it before I came upstairs during dinner. Police Academy 2.
Really? Yeah.
Is that?
Just watching.
That's not Citizens on Patrol. That's the one with David Spade.
That's the First Assignment.
Yes, I watched that the other day too.
It's got oh my god.
It's got David Spade. It's got Bobcat Goldthwait, but he plays the bad guy. This isn't when he joins the academy. This is his first premiere. Tony Hawk did all the skateboard extras for David Spade. And it had the guy who played the teacher on Head of the Class talking about our generation.
Oh, wow.
Well, the way I saw it is it was the scene where they shot up that guy's light store with all the chandeliers. So I thought, oh, my God, this is exactly what BLM and the left think that the cops are like today.
Yeah.
And that was
Go in, no control.
See, growing up in the 80s, we're more familiar because HBO ran the shit out of it with Citizens on Patrol. You remember in the opening scene of Citizen on Patrol when Bobcat Goldthwait is on his Harley and he pulls up to the little guy in the scooter? Hey, where do you put the batteries? That's the guy who owned the chandelier store in part 2.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so funny because he does this thing where he's like putting on laser lights. He has a fake dog barking. He puts down hurricane shutters, razor wires. He has Terminator cardboard cutout in the window. He does all this stuff. And then like some basic simple robbery happens after he locks everything down. I was going to do a TikTok on this the other day, but I didn't. Actually, I recorded it, but I couldn't pull the trigger on it. and this would be a good topic because Larry and I, and Gordon could probably agree with this. Larry, what's your favorite type of taco?
Taco?
Yes, beef, steak, fish,
I would
chicken,
say
pork.
you're gonna kill me. I really don't. I'm not really into tacos too much, but I do like
Oh
beef.
shit!
Okay.
Beef would be my favorite though.
Gordon, how about you?
Well, I actually like pork,
Do your
like carnitas. Or last night, I actually made we had smoked a pork shoulder over the weekend, and I had a pulled pork brisket or pulled pork taco last night. Fantastic.
when you eat beef tacos out at a restaurant,
Yeah.
when you go to a restaurant, do you order beef tacos?
No.
Occasionally,
Okay. Does the beef taco in which you order depend on the ethnicity of the person who owns the shop in which you're buying it from?
no.
This is why I didn't do the TikTok.
No, like Roberto's, I like their beef tacos, and that is actually straight up. And Vinny's been out here in Vegas, and I think Roberto's was so famous it ended up on CSI once. But it's very authentic.
Well, that
and
was
it's
going to
good.
say.
It's like a shredded beef, right?
Well,
But not Taco Bell. I wouldn't order a beef taco.
well,
there.
what I have found, if I go into what I assume to be an Anglo-operated chain, I find the beef tacos all taste like they use the seasoning pack that you pick up at a grocery store.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can get that taste at home. I want a different taste. So when I go to an Anglo-type place like your Moe's or your Chipotle or your three-pepper burrito company, I always get the steak burritos because I love steak. If I'm going to an authentic mom-and-pop Hispanic-owned or Cuban-owned place that sell, Cuban / Mexican / whatever, Southwest, I find their beef tacos are far more superior. I don't know if it's the home recipes they're using, if they're using their own mixture of spices, but to me, every time I go to a major chain, all the beef tacos all taste the same, and they all taste like they use the Ortega shit that you get at Publix in the dry pack.
Right.
And it's like, why? What is the difference? Why does every Anglo-operated taco place, their tacos all taste the same, which tastes like the shit I can make at home? I'm here because I want good food, not something I can reproduce at home at half the cost.
Well, there is hope.
Okay.
There's a chain that's growing. It was originally started by a couple out of St. George, Utah, called Cafe Rio. And their various beefs are definitely not like that at all. It's fantastic.
I walked into, and I'm not calling them out because I love their stick tacos. And the 3-pepper burrito, which is in the old Starbucks next to your comedy club.
Yeah.
And there's one here in Cape Coral next to what used to be the Blockbuster Video. And I always go in there, I get their steak. Their steaks are great, so I'm not slamming them. But I went into the one by the comedy club that you go to. And I said, let me get 3 steak tacos. They said, we're out of steak. We got beef, chicken, and pork. I said, I'm going to Patinella's. Thank you very much. I walked next door. Have you ever been to that Patinella's Chicken Grill?
No, I haven't all these years.
Do you like gyros?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Go in there and get the Greek bowl. It's basically a gyro, but instead of on a pita, it's on a bed of rice. And it's so damn good. So I just walked over there. And that's when I had the thought. I walked there. I was like, well, why didn't I get the beef tacos? And I realized, that's because I know it's going to taste like the ones that I can make at
I
home.
could have made it at home.
So,
Yeah.
It saved some money.
So, I mean, it's in my subconscious, it's that bad that I walked out of there, walked around the corner into Patinella's and got some Greek food instead. Well, American Greek food.
Yeah.
How you been, Gordon, other than your internet driving you nuts?
Yeah, my computer. Yeah. So the thing was running completely, just horribly slow, like it was underwater. I figured I'd reboot it, and then all of a sudden I got that screen. Please don't shut it off. Windows is preparing to restart. And I'm like, ugh, for 20, 30 minutes. Otherwise, I am doing all right. I lost all my notes I had.
Oh, well, I will buy some time for you. I know Larry has a heart out. He's got some things to do. Larry, I know you're hosting a show this weekend. Why don't you go out and give out your plugs, and then you can bounce out of here, and we'll just go.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate you helping me fill some time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just want to talk about a couple of different things. October is going to be pretty packed. I'm going to be at Pisani's in Port Charlotte on Saturday night, the late show with Frank Del Pizzo. Frank's doing the headlining all week at Pisani's. So that'll be a great show, but I'm going to be hosting on the Saturday late show. I'm going to be all around Florida this month. But one thing I kind of want to plug, if you don't mind,
Sure.
and it's November 6th in Naples at the Norris Center, which is right off of like Fifth Avenue downtown. Myself, Frank Del Pizzo, and Christopher Coles, we're doing a show there. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a beautiful theater. Chris and I and another comic did it a couple years ago before COVID. It's going to start being a regular thing. It's the home of the Gulf Shore Playhouse.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're moving into a whole new building, and so I think we're going to be doing some more comedy in the next year or two as those things as they get their new place. But anyway, the North Center is a 200-seat theater, huge stage, a lot of fun. You go in there, they might have some drinks and some snacks, whatever. You basically are just going there for the show, see the show, then you can hit Fifth Avenue, go to eat or whatever. But that's like, if you go on Eventbrite, the Funny Fellas comedy night at the North Center in Naples. Would love for people to come out to that. Otherwise, I'm going to be far, like I'm in Gainesville and Parrish and all these different places around Florida. October.
How is comedy in Parrish?
I don't know. I've never been there. So it's going to be I'm actually headlining those shows. There's two shows. It's at the illustrious Beef O'Brady's.
Nice.
It's not Irish, Gordon. It's American. It's a
No, I've been to Beef O'Brady's. I know what you're talking about.
No, this place actually, they have comedy nights, I think, a couple times a month, and they have a stage. It's like a cool setup. It's not like you're just doing it in front of the Patriots game. You know what I mean? It's like, it's actually a really nice setup, it looks like, and they have sold out shows every time they do them. And there's a 4 o'clock. Oh my God,
Ooh.
a 4 o'clock show. And
well, I was going to say, Parrish is
That's early, man.
Parrish is a very small town. Only reason I'm familiar with it is that's where the National Florida Train Museum is. And every year we do the Von Kessinger Express. It's actually pretty cool. It's kind of like a murder mystery train ride, but without the murder mystery. It's based in World War II. Yeah, it's one of the least authentic World War II reenactments, but you actually buy a ticket for the train, right? And it goes down the track. And so as the public shows up, and they show up to the train station, there's 15-foot swastika flags. All these Germans are walking around because you're supposed to be in German-occupied France. And so when you get on the train, the German reenactors are ad-libbing. They're walking around doing improv. The train goes 5 miles down the track. They get out, they execute somebody. The airborne comes in, a skirmish. Long story short, it's a reenactment built into a moving train. So it's pretty cool. So I've been to Parrish a handful of times. But so, yeah, when he said you're doing one in Parrish, I was like, oh, that ought to be fun. But, yeah, they show up for that. So I'm sure they show up for comedy, too. So you should have a good time out there.
Yeah, there's a 4 o'clock and a 7 o'clock show. So I'm actually headlining those shows, and I'm excited for those. But
Beef O'Brady closes at 11, so you can't have
you have to get it in and out, But yeah.
Do you have a website with all these dates on it, or people hit, or do you want to go to your Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah, LarryVenturino.com has all my shows. Right now, I have 28 events coming up through the end of this year and into next year, and I'm adding more dates like every couple of days. So have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of bigger shows, a couple of different appearances in Tampa, and basically all over Florida. And then I'm going to be hopefully again somewhere up north in the coming months, and we'll just go from there. But I was up there, and now I'm just trying to go around Florida as much as I can right now and get some shows in, and then build from there right now.
You know, Larry and I became aware of each other when I was doing a Google search looking for some improv troops around here. Still don't have any, but maybe that's something we can work on for the future.
I really should take the advantage of being out of here and going to.
Yeah, you're in Vegas. I'm sure you got improv troops all over the goddamn place you could join up with.
Yeah.
But Larry, thank you so much, and you have a great evening. And anytime you want to come on, and I will get to hit you up with the things that you and I were discussing off the air, because that could be a lot of fun and thrill.
Yeah. Sure. Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
So Gordon, I was listening to a podcast that you and I both listen to quite regularly the other day, and that is the Adam Carolla Show. And he had Vinny Tortoridge on, who's been on our show twice. He's a friend of the show.
Yeah, I haven't actually didn't listen to that one yet.
And well, he played two clips. One Vinny kind of started, and we kind of touched on a few times here. I'll just play it, and that is, you know, the health issue and how during COVID we didn't take advantage of the truth and suggest to people that maybe they start working on their fitness and their weight, particularly young kids.
Yeah, I actually did, and then I fell off the tracks.
So the conversation started here.
I am so disgusted by what happened during the pandemic. You know, I was yelling that kids are going to get fatter and fatter. We're doing the wrong thing.
They
We got to
did.
get them out. We got to get them moving. It seems like every time I get in an airport now, I'm out at Atlanta. The past 4 trips I've been in Atlanta. People to me, because I'm looking at this, I'm always looking at this, are noticeably fatter. And not just anyone, kids are getting fatter and fatter, and they don't look like kids anymore. When I was a kid, you know, there was a song called Like a Rock. You know, I was strong and I was like a rock, right? We were all wiry and thin, and we all lived in the country, and that was great. Kids today don't look like the human beings we looked like 50 years ago. Not even close. If they had their shirts off, you would never see a rib cage, number one.
No.
Number two, they're making jeans where it almost looks like something from Aesop's Fables, where you see this big giant body with these little skinny legs and these, so they have no ass on them anymore because these kids aren't out playing and moving. They don't have legs on them. And their backs look like turtles because all they do is stay bunched over looking at a damn 2x4-inch piece of glass their entire life. And we're not moving in a good direction.
It'll be interesting to see in 5-10 years x-rays of kids and how their spines are developing and how their necks are developing from
They're going to
constantly.
look like a bunch of kids who grew up with no self-esteem.
Well, not only that, but if everybody's doing it, is it going to be the next evolutionary step for humans, or
It's us one step closer to becoming the Greys.
or will technology change here in another 5 to 10 years where we're no longer looking at cell phones because we have the shit embedded in our brains, and so maybe our bodies will start straightening out?
It's a good question.
You know, I gotta be very vague about this, but I know someone who has to teach a child, and this child has behavioral issues, and at some point, someone who works with this child thought it would be a good reward system to give this child cold Starbucks espressos to drink at 7 in the morning.
It's like just giving
In
a
elementary
crackhead
school.
crack for being good, right?
Well, yes, and kind of, but it's like, is that it occurred to anyone that maybe this young person in elementary school is having behavioral issues and concentration issues because not only you giving them Starbucks, but you know they probably drank 1 or 2 Mountain Dews before they left the house in the morning, and they
Well,
probably
think
don't have a
about it.
proper diet.
Have you ever seen the study where they took spiders and they put them on a spider and put them on different drugs?
And the different
And the one that
spider
was
webs
on
they make.
caffeine, the web was just all over the place.
Yeah. Well, it's like we've mentioned ad nauseum on here, the old Penn and Teller bullshit show, and how, you know, and I'm sure people can find holes and cracks in it, and whenever you're making shows like that, you make the storyline go with what you're trying to get across. But they showed numbers, and they talked to administration, and there was this behavioral school where all these kids have been kicked out of all these other schools. And one of the things they did is they got rid of the government-ran lunches. They brought in a chef who sourced local vegetables and figured out a way to make school lunches that cost roughly around the same price as the government lunches at that time 10 years ago. And they got rid of all the vending machines and basically did water. And that was pretty much it. Maybe some like sugar-free Gatorade if they existed back then. But the crux of the story is you got an entire school of kids who've been expelled and kicked out and gone through juvie, have behavioral and criminal issues, and 93% of those issues went away simply by changing their diet throughout the day. And I mean, it makes sense. You got kids who have bad sleep patterns because their parents aren't making them go to bed at a decent time. And then they get up and they're just hammering caffeine and eating sugar and all the horrible crap, you know. And as Vinny said multiple times, back in the day, orange juice, part of the complete balanced breakfast. Well, an 8-ounce glass of orange juice has more sugar than a can of soda.
Yes, it does.
Put that in perspective. And so
Even apple juice, you know?
yeah, so you're eating an apple juice or orange juice, you're getting all that sugar, and then you're going to school and you're getting your 8-ounce glass of Starbucks freaking latte.
Well, I tell you what, I know now exactly why Vinny said never come off the no sugar, no grains diet, because it's a mofo to get back on, and we are struggling.
What's up,
We're
John
getting
Kraft?
closer.
What's up, Paul Harper's back. I ain't seen Paul in a while. Welcome back, Paul. Yeah, no, I get it. Trust me. Here's my mystery bottle. Why is my mystery bottle? Because it's Mountain Dew and it's green.
Green.
I got to get off the soda. It's
Yes.
so dumb. The amount of exercise I do and beat myself up just to negate all of it. by
And it's
drinking
weird. It's like
calories.
you'll be driving somewhere, and it's all of a sudden you feel the flavor in your mouth, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I got to go get this. And then, and I think what happened this week to me really told me, okay, I can't do this ever again. Not, number one, I've been trying to go the right way, but I bought a can of Mountain Dew.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a king size Reese's cup, the ones you don't like, the double thick ones, because I like
Mhm.
peanut butter. I paid $4.08. I was
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, no,
It's.
no more.
I called you complaining. There's a fish and chips place here in Cape Coral. I don't want to put them on blast, so I won't say the name. Not that there's a whole lot of them. And they make great fish and chips. You get a plate of, you go inside and it's all done up like Britain and all that, and it's authentic. And it's when you order it, they pull out a thing of there's fresh, raw, cod, not pre-breaded, not frozen. It looks like you just picked it up from the seafood section of your high-end grocery store. So I mean, it's quality fish, and it's very good. And then they bread it and they fry it and they do the whole thing. But I called and put in a to-go order for 3 of them, just 3 regulars. Showed up and they're like $49. I'm thinking, what? I could have went to fucking Outback Steakhouse, for that.
Nah, that's now $60.
Yeah, well.
Everything's getting expensive.
But I didn't say anything. The guy behind me walks in and he gets his too, and they're like $33. He's like $33. They're like, yeah, the new owner just raised the prices. And I looked up on the wall, one order of regular fish and chips, $14.99.
Well, I'm sure a lot of that is the spike in food pricing. That's just
Yeah, and like I said, it is fresh fish. But when you're trying to feed a family for 3, and like, do I want to spend $50 on fish and French fries?
yeah, now you go get fish sticks and you'll pay what you used to pay for that.
No, that's just now a place that I'm going to relegate to a lunch for Don by himself. Yeah.
I
Because
feel a little special. I'm gonna
not
give
everybody
myself a
appreciates
treat
it. They're
today.
like, okay, I guess I'll eat that because I'm tired of hamburgers. But
Now I've got to ask you a question in regards to fish and chips,
Mm-hmm.
and you better not answer it incorrectly,
Mm-hmm.
or you will get tossed from the fish and chips place. When you have your fish and chips, and your fries, which is your chips, what do you put on them?
On the fish or the fries?
Either or both.
You're looking for a malt vinegar, which I don't put on there.
You're tossed.
I don't put ketchup on my fries.
You just straight up tartar sauce? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't like the malt vinegar? Have you tried it?
No, but I never eat there, and so
Try it. It's a delight,
I'll give it a whirly bird.
especially on fries. If you go to Five Guys, throw a little malt vinegar on those fries.
Five Guys.
You'll wonder where
pizza,
you've been.
fries. Carrie made the proclamation that she is not a fan of their fries.
Who, Five Guys?
Yeah, I like their fries.
I love their fries. I do like my In-N-Out, but Five Guys is better. And
Especially if you get that extra, that spicy seasoning they have.
Yeah, we don't do that. I would by myself, but the Cajun seasoning,
It's interesting.
it's a little bit all right.
I don't put ketchup on much of anything. Obviously, if it comes on a hamburger, or I'll put it on a White Castle, but I don't put it on my French fries. I don't know, not because of caloric. I really don't do it.
I find other things. So I saw a TikTok video.
Well, hold
from
on. Just because we're on this topic, and it already had the
Yes.
list pulled up, so we're going to segue into this.
you. Okay.
It's not your imagination. Restaurant drive-thrus are slower and less accurate.
No shit, and they want more money.
Restaurant drive-thrus have become slower and less accurate in 2021, according to Sea Level HX annual report. I'm guessing that's some sort of restaurant and documentation place. The average total time spent in the drive-thru lane, which if you watch any of my TikToks, I've done a lot of material on this, which is the other reason I bring this story up. The total time spent in a drive-thru lane has increased more than 25 seconds from a year ago to 382 seconds. Let that sink in. For those of you who want to scream at me at TikTok for doing my videos on hold times and why you shouldn't pull forward if you're not
to mention the gas that you're freaking burning.
Now, if there's someone behind you, they could have, just a drink and a hamburger and you're holding them up. So please pull forward. But if there's no one behind you in line and they ask you to pull into that parking spot, just sit there. Because the reason they're asking you to pull up is because you're playing the hold time game so that corporate thinks they're providing service quicker than they are.
Well, did I tell you about my experience with the hold time thing at Burger King recently?
No, I'll let you do that. Let me just finish. I'm not going to read this whole story. But anyhow, more than 25 seconds from a year ago to 382. Compared to the pre-pandemic time, this is nearly a minute longer. Orders accuracy has dropped 85% this year. From the 87% in 2020. I'm sorry, dropped to 85, so it's down 2%, which ain't huge. But Sea Level
they're off 15% of the time.
Yeah, Sea Level HX used mystery shoppers to wait and drive through. I would need that job. To wait and drive through lines across 10 chains and 1,492 restaurant locations from July through early August to compile the annual study. More than half of those orders placed happened during lunch hours. Drive-through time accuracy has been a key performance metric in the fast food chains for decades. Both the coronavirus pandemic has heightened their importance. As restaurants shutter their dining rooms, customers return to the drive-through lanes to pick up their tacos and fries. Let's be honest. Most people went through the drive-through pre-pandemic because we're too fat and lazy to get out of our cars.
The McDonald's around here, Jack in the Box, still have their most of them still have their dining rooms closed.
That's because they don't want to pay employees to clean up.
Or is it they don't want to deal with the whole mask situation?
It could be that, but not only you don't have to deal with the frustration of the mask, you don't have to take someone off the line to clean tables, sweep floors, and more importantly, clean those fucking bathrooms.
And those attitudes in the drive-thru. Holy crap.
This trend hasn't disappeared even though many customers have gotten vaccinated, and the resurgence of the new COVID-19 cases driven by the Delta variant have given a further staying power in August. Drive-thru visits claimed 11% compared to the same time a year ago, accounted for 41% off-premise orders. But yeah, so they've definitely gotten slower.
Have you ever tried to call and complain when your order got effed up? And the phone just rings and rings and rings, and it's like nobody ever picks up?
So the last time I complained, it was at a place we used to enjoy, a place that started in Miami. It's called El Pollo Tropical. The tropical chicken. And El Pollo Tropical used to have tropical wings. We'd get them all the time. They discontinued them, so we stopped going, but then we went back. You can get, grilled chickens and pulled pork and all that stuff. It's really good stuff, and plantains. And we hadn't been there in months, and I finally put in a ordered online. Carrie ordered it. Supposed to be ready in 15 minutes. The closest one's 10 minutes from my house. So I drove down there. Nugget was with me. Left her in the car. Walked inside, no mask, because I was expecting to walk in there and get my shit and leave. And said, "Hey, I'm here. Pick up my food." Gave my last name. And as he walked by, I said, "Orla Gunder," and I gave Carrie's last name. "No, it's not ready yet." Standing there. Guy behind me in line puts his food order in. Guy behind him puts his food. Long story short, I'm standing there as the people who ordered after me in the store, even though I put my order online, got their food and were leaving. I finally said, "Hey, what is going on here? I've been standing here for 15 minutes. I've already put my order in 15 minutes ago. I'm supposed to pick it up. It's supposed to be ready. 3 people behind me just ordered their food in real time and got their food while I'm standing here." And I gave them the 2 names again, and it was under Carrie's name. And I said, "Great, now my food's cold." The guy looked at me and said, I kind of made a scene, and as I'm walking out, the guy yells at me, he's like, "Next time, wear a mask."
Oh, fuck yourself.
I said, I put in a to-go order. I should only been in here for 15 seconds. I didn't think I was going to need a fucking mask. And so I was pissed, and I called corporate. And usually you call a restaurant place, and the phone rang a few times, and called them, told them what happened. And usually the go-to is, sorry about that. Let's put your name on a list. We'll reimburse you. Get free food next time. Told them the whole story. Uh-huh. And? Huh? Dude was completely apathetic. Gave no shits. Basically was probably waiting to tell me next time to wear a mask. It was the most I've never gone back. It was insane. But what happened to you at Burger King?
So I went to Burger King a couple of months ago, down the street from my work. I just needed to do a quick lunch and pulled up and was waiting. Took my order. Noticed the cars were waiting. Finally made it around. Noticed that the car was sitting there at the first window.
Yep.
Sitting there at the first window. Got his drink and stuff, sitting there at the first window. Then went to the second window, instantly got his bag, and moved on. So I pulled up, and he said, got my drink. He goes, hey, can you wait here a second? Sure.
Because my timer's on the second window.
Well, and this is where the conversation goes. So I sit there. He disappears. After he gives me my drink, I go up. He comes back to the window. He says, go on up to the next window. I go up there. He's back at the next window. Mm-hmm. Same guy. Mm-hmm. Hands me a thing. I said, I got a question for you. This is a timer thing, isn't it? He goes, absolutely. I said, can you pass this on to your management from a customer? This actually works the opposite of what you intend. Mm-hmm. This is what pisses off customers.
I was at the local KFC playing the timer game. One time, she asked me to pull around, and I said, can I get my drink? And she's like, I'll bring it out to you. I said, no, usually when you ask a customer, you want to at least give them their drink so they have something to do while they're waiting for their food. And so she brought me a drink. The second time, I was out there waiting, come out and give food to other cars and waiting. And she comes up. She's like, are you waiting for food? Yeah. They had forgotten about me because I wasn't on their timer.
And that was just it. I asked him, I said, so what's the deal? Why do you have to? He goes, if we don't do it, we're in trouble.
Yeah, because
if we don't have our time at a certain spot, we're in trouble. I'm like, well, it sounds like your management just needs to work on the efficiency, get the right people where they need to be, and this will flow like that. But evidently your kitchen can't keep up, so therefore we're playing the timer game.
I had an epiphany tonight. Chinese food restaurant rice is as to American fast food French fries, and that is they constantly give us shitty quality rice, we constantly get shitty quality French fries, yet we keep going back. And then when we get it, like, wow, this rice is dry. Well, no shit, because they make it too early, it sits around too long, and are not going to throw it out.
That's why you actually have to go ahead and order some chicken fried rice to eat as the rice. I know it's a lot more food, but then you get rid of it. And then we feed the white rice to the dog.
Well, no, this is the yellow with the peas and the carrots and all that crap in it. Yeah. Because that's the default in the General Tso's chicken combos here.
We got a pretty big Chinese and Asian culture out here, so I've not run into that problem too much, except for like places like Panda Express.
And so after the Vinny thing, Adam followed up with this, which this is great. We're talking about the mask. We're talking about all the insanity behind it. Here is Dr. Fauci doing an interview in 2019, maybe the end of 2018, just a year short or maybe a few months short of the pandemic, doing an interview with a reporter talking about how people can get healthy. Because for those of you who don't know, Dr. Fauci didn't just get assigned when the pandemics were on. The guy's been doing,
sketchy shit for a long time.
Well, his job title is he's the head of the people who research pandemics and flus and all that shit. And so here's him being interviewed before the pandemic.
Speaking of this, because we were talking about lamenting the fact that we could have used COVID as an excuse to start talking about obesity and childhood obesity and exercise instead. There's a video that was going around a week and a half ago, and it was Fauci from 2019, and he was talking about exercise and working out and diet and stuff, all this shit. As soon as the pandemic hit, he shut the fuck up about all of that stuff.
And the best way for me to prevent getting an infectious disease and having to have you as my doctor is what? Wearing a mask?
No.
You do that?
No.
I can see they're ready to sneeze or cough, walk away.
You avoid all the paranoid aspects and do
Okay.
something positive. A, good diet. B, you don't smoke, I know. I know you don't drink, at least not very much, so that's pretty good. Get some exercise. I know that you don't get as much exercise as
Yes,
you should.
that's correct.
Get good sleep.
Put 'em
I
on
think
blast.
the normal, low-tech, healthy things are the
Okay.
best thing that you can do, David, is stay
All
healthy.
right?
He said,
This guy changes his mind more than I change my underwear.
he said, get rid of the paranoid aspects.
And the best way for me to prevent getting an infectious disease and having to have you as my doctor is what? Wearing a mask?
No.
Nope. Don't
But
wear
he's been
masks.
beating the paranoia drum for the last year and a half.
This was 2019 before COVID.
And the best way for me to prevent getting an infectious disease
Follow the
and having
money.
to have you as my doctor is
Follow
what?
the politics.
Wearing a mask?
Nope.
No.
You do that?
No.
I can see they're ready to sneeze or cough, walk away.
You avoid all the paranoid aspects and do
Okay.
something.
If I see someone preparing to sneeze and cough, walk away. He said, no, you avoid all the paranoid aspects, work on exercise, diet, don't smoke. Basically, all the shit Vinny was saying we should have capitalized on during the pandemic and lockdown, but they went complete opposites. 2020, you can't fat shame people. You can't tell them. We got to just fall on the fake mass
How
aspect.
much do you think that's been going on? Is the reason they haven't brought it up is because they will be told they're fat shaming.
On that side, 92%. If Fauci was propped up, let's say Fauci and Trump got along great, and let's say, he leaned more right, and he had and let's say the media was opposite, let's say 92% of the media was Republican, and then Fox News was the left-leaning media, would be the only one to give him shit, it would have been the other way. It would have been diet, exercise, got to lose weight. Most of these people are dying of COVID, have underlying issues as far as obesity, diabetes, blah, 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 blah. But no, because of the way the world is, and you don't want to get canceled on the internet, you don't want to get fired, you can't talk about people's weight and all that stuff. It's insane. But we are going to lighten the load a little bit. You are a fan of the show You.
Yes, I'm waiting for the third season to come out.
We called it, and a lot of people also considered it the Dexter for Gen Z.
Yep.
And so,
Well, I can't wait till Dexter comes up, but I hope to God it doesn't fall on its face.
a few weeks ago, and I just became aware of it today, the trailer, as Gordon just alluded to You, Season 3.
In my history of scared, this is the most scared I've ever been.
Congratulations, Dad. It's a boy.
I've always believed in the one. Being your dad is changing me. For you, I'd move to some soulless suburb.
Come latte with us.
For you, I'd marry the monster your mother loved. What could go wrong?
We both have done bad things. I wanted to move here so that we could start new.
We're just the nice, normal neighbors next door. We are a team.
The best team.
No, this is bad. So now, I have you. Things will be different this time.
Something's going on. You're always distracted.
Are you okay? You look paler than usual.
I think we need to go to couples therapy.
This came sooner than expected.
Marriage isn't really built for secrets.
There's no such thing as privacy in Madre Linda.
You obsessed with her? Why don't you love me anymore? I was plotting something and I can feel it. Why does everybody think I'm impulsive?
You are not making me kill anyone!
Am I the only one getting chills of that cover? Britney Spears, Hit Me Baby One More Time. Did you even realize what that was?
You better go take another COVID test.
So, yep, season 3 is coming out. We've been watching the shit out of Lucifer. Have you gotten to that one
Have
yet?
you noticed his voices when he does narration is very
sounds like Dexter.
rhythmic. Yeah, rhythmic like Dexter.
I don't know who. Obviously, it's a Netflix. I don't know who originally did you, but it would be interesting on the new season of Dexter if they have him on to like just as a cameo, where Dexter kills off a character similar to his. But if you guys are on Netflix and you haven't seen Lucifer, there's only 6 seasons of it. Check that out. That's pretty interesting. After a while, the episodes get a little templated, and you kind of figure out who the killer is. It's like, okay, here's 4 actors you've never seen. Here's a character actor who's been in a handful of shows. At some point, he is going to be the killer. But yeah, you start. It's a very interesting show if you guys haven't seen Lucifer.
Well, I know it's kind of got a supernatural twist to it. With the whole Lucifer thing. Do yourself a favor and actually watch Supernatural. It's on Netflix also. I think you will enjoy it. It's dark. It's funny. It's some decent acting. There'll be some people you recognize on there. But I wanted to bring up something real quick, and it's a little touchy.
And feely?
Well, not really. Actually, it is. So, there's some articles out there that like 130 some odd Republicans voted for this red flag law, right?
Yeah, the one that goes after vets.
Yeah, well,
so they're not mentally stable.
Dan Crenshaw was one of them, and he answered somebody. I will give it to this man. He does reply to comments, and he said, in regards to the National Defense Bill, included the so-called red flag provision, I voted the opposite of the liberal Democrats. Your AOC, Omar Bush, the whole squad voted against the bill because it was too pro-military. The provision that everybody is talking about being a red flag law is actually a dead provision. It's not in the final bill text.
Nice.
That we will vote on in the coming weeks. And the provisions, why he voted on it it's forcing Biden to get Americans out of Afghanistan, which we did, which we're working on.
That worked out smashingly well.
Well, no. The current Americans. Get the rest of them out. Prohibiting him from sending money to Taliban.
That's
it's requiring full accounting and a plan to get or destroy assets left behind. Sending troops to the southwest border, finally. Prohibiting Chinese products in our military supply chain. Completing a full investigation into the Wuhan lab, prohibiting dishonorable discharges for other service members who refuse the vaccine, protecting the First Amendment rights of service members from the woke left and activist generals, restoring the Iron Dome. This is what AOC cried over, funding that Nancy Pelosi and the squad stripped out of the CR earlier, and a pay increase for the troops. So that's actually the crux of the bill.
How much of the bill? Where's the red flag part of the bill?
He said there is no red flag in the bill. It was literally a ploy for the Democrats to tell their base that they're going after the guns.
So it was entitled. It was
kind
a
of
name
sort of
only.
there, but it's coming out. Absolutely
interesting. And it was a way to get Republicans PP smacked. I don't understand.
Yeah, and he said he would never vote for a red flag.
I don't understand why we got to pass a bill to get protection on the southern borders. Why doesn't the governor of Texas put the Texas National Guard there? Why don't the governor of Arizona put the Arizona? Because those National Guards belong to the states, not the federal government, unless they get nationalized. So
this may sound like a TikTok video, but Jen Psaki did ask. She's getting tired of hearing about the border.
Yeah, of course.
And she said it was either her or somebody else. I think it was her saying, I'm tired of talking about it. Republicans are not giving any ideas and any ways to solve this. And person said, build the wall.
Yeah.
I think they've been saying it for a while.
Yep.
But, that doesn't fit it.
If they don't hold them.
Here's today's meaningless headlines from social media.
TikTok reveals that the platform has now reached 1 billion monthly active users. Young women are removing their IUDs on TikTok, and that can be dangerous to their health. Elon Musk and Grimes has called it quits after 3 years together. The two are now separated, but stated that they love each other very much. An ancient Gilgamesh tablet is being returned after being stolen from Iraq and then bought by Hobby Lobby. Joe Rogan.
I bet they use that just enough to get a scan of it, so now they can make a replica.
I actually have the story here, but Joe Rogan likens COVID vaccination to Nazi concentration camps in a scathing video that sees him blast them. Now, I've said in the past, anytime you bring up Nazism or
But if you actually
Hitlerism.
listen to his podcast and listen to what he's got to say, like anybody, you realize it's not that at all.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's see. The return of the ancient Gilgamesh Dream Tablet stirs controversy online. A 3,500-year-old clay tablet was stolen from the museum in Iraq and is being returned. The clay tablet is known as the Gilgamesh Dream Tablet. Was bought for $1.67 million to be displayed in the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. in 2019. It was taken by U.S. authorities who said that it had been stolen and should be returned. 2 years later, this return will be happening on Thursday at the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian. There are 17,000 stolen antiquities that the U.S. has agreed to return, with some of them being returned earlier this year as of July. The 5x6 tablet includes written in Sumerian, the language of the ancient Mesopotamian civilization. This is to be believed as the writings from the poem within almost 4,000 years ago. Why it's stirring up? Oh, because of Hobby Lobby.
Yes, and that's where.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Many on Twitter were confused and concerned as to why they had not heard of Hobby Lobby's involvement with the ancient tablet before this, because Hobby Lobby's bad. Okay. The museum. Go ahead.
I can really, and I'll bring it up again. Think about it. If it cost them even 1 million, they take it, they scan it. Now they can reproduce a decoration that is to the size and likeness and sell it. They'll make their money back.
Well, and plus Hobby Lobby is known as being a Christian organization,
Correct.
and this has to do with the Museum of the Bible in Washington. The Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. was opened by the owners of Hobby Lobby in 2009. Hobby Lobby President Steve Greenbergen collecting items from the museum, which originally opened in 2017. The Museum of the Bible's website, Green admits that he did not know enough to prevent him from buying the stolen items. Hobby Lobby's event agreed to pay the $3 million fine and agreed to return the thousands of illegally imported clay tablets. So not only did he pay the amount of money, but he threw $3,000 on top of it and basically giving it away. He didn't ask for reimbursement from the auction house. Why isn't the auction house, not getting involved in this? But anyhow, back to headlines. Apparently, we actually did care about that one. We already done with that. So that concludes today's, and I still got to get Carrie to record an outro for that, but that concludes today's version of this.
Here's today's meaningless headlines from social media.
Okay, Gordon, you said you had a list as well, or something you wanted to talk about? Tacos?
No, that was pretty much it. I got some news articles, though.
Sure.
Sure.
Let's see here. Done all that. Real quick, I was going through Facebook yesterday because I was making Henry Sledge a admin on the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast. And as I was looking for the area to do that, I noticed that there was a link on the Facebook Business Manager said podcast. I'm like, well, that's interesting. I don't know where you can listen to podcasts on Facebook. I don't know if they have an app. I haven't seen a link for pages on Facebook for podcasts. I think it's hard enough to find someone's fucking photos when you're looking for them on their website. But with all that being said, if you're one of these people who listen to podcasts through Facebook, I did find it under the management. I've done it for this podcast. I did it for Veil to Fail podcast, as well as the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast. I put my RSS feeds in there. Facebook's publishing those podcasts somewhere. I don't know where they're at. I don't see a podcast link on any of my page. But if you're one of those people out there listening to podcasts brought to you by Facebook, you can now find the What's in Your Head podcast, What's the Scuttlebutt podcast, and Fail to Fail podcast. But I can't tell you how to do it because it didn't say that on the instructions when I submitted the RSS feed.
It's in beta.
And so I didn't know if maybe there anyhow. So that's that. And here's this.
Joining us now from the Digital 410 West News Desk in Las Vegas, Nevada, Gordon Abernathy.
Gordon, how you doing tonight? I've been talking so much I need something to drink, but I'm all out.
You're a runner.
Yes, sir.
Have you run a full marathon yet?
No, I did a half marathon, and the only reason I did a half marathon is I was training for Savage Race in 2019. It got canceled due to COVID, but interestingly enough, the Physicians Group of Southwest Florida still put on a half marathon, so I signed up for that and ran that, and it kicked me in the dick, but I completed it, and that's when I had the epiphany that running a half marathon is when you get runner's high, and you have to. That must have been what Tyler Durden felt like the first time he kicked his own ass.
Well, this Illinois man, he's got to be pretty happy. He was running he had won, unexpectedly, the Quad City Marathon this weekend when two Kenyan runners who had far outpaced him were disqualified after being diverted off course by a race volunteer bicyclist.
So
imagine coming in third and all of a sudden you're winning because the two guys took the wrong route.
I will
say led down
the
wrong way.
I've ran probably 6 or 7 5Ks. I've ran a 10K. A lot of those, when you're back in the pack, it's easy to run because you're falling the asshole in front of you. Those guys in front, those paths are not well laid out. There's the occasional arrow, an occasional water tent, and a mile marker. But the guys up front are usually following a dickhead on a bicycle or a motorcycle.
And when that race volunteer bicyclist takes them off course,
tough
that's
titty,
it. Tyler
but the milk's still good. I'd be pissed. Those guys are professionals.
He's happy, but it's probably kind of a happiness. So Tyler Pence crossed the finish line in 2 hours and 15 minutes, 6 seconds, to become the first U.S. runner since 2001 to win the race through the Quad Cities along the Mississippi River in Illinois.
Put that in
Iowa.
perspective. That's what, 23.4 miles roughly?
Yep.
26 miles. I last night ran which is kind of slow, but I am getting over COVID. I ran a mile in 9 minutes and 23 seconds. That's just 1 mile. This guy ran 25 in 120 minutes. That's how fast he was booking it. He was probably doing like a 5-minute mile.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy Pence is the head track and cross-country coach at the University of Illinois Springfield, when he logged his fastest time ever with the win that took home a prize of $3,000. His win came after Elijah, not going to say his last name, and Luke, not going to say his last name, diverted from the course.
What race was
a
this?
little more than halfway to the finish line when a bicycle rider leading them mistakenly went straight when they should have turned.
Was
Should have
this-
taken that left at Albuquerque.
What marathon was this? I'm trying to look up his pace.
It is the Quad Cities Marathon.
Okay. Marathon winner.
Race director Joe Moreno confirmed that the bicyclist went the wrong way, but said that the two runners also should have known not to follow him. At an intersection where the incident happened, the course was well marked, according to Moreno. The signage was well displayed. The volunteers are there. And the fourth element is those elite runners having a meeting the day before to get familiar with the course.
Yeah, but at that point, you're so in your head that you're just an autopilot. And then when you've been fixating on a target for 2 hours,
I got 2 stories from Florida.
Go ahead, Athlinks. I'm looking up this guy's name on Athlinks to see what his pace was. Go ahead.
Bonus checks bounce for 50 Florida teachers due to error.
Whoops.
A banking error caused dozens of Florida teachers to see their state-issue $1,000 bonus checks bounce, officials said on Friday. The disaster relief payments issued to 50 of the 176,000 educators who received checks were affected by J.P. Morgan Chase error. Oops. According to the statement from the Florida Department of Education, the officials said they're working to fix the problem. Of course, they say that we apologize for any inconvenience that this had caused and are working to correct it, including refunds and any fees incurred by the recipients as a result. According to J.P. Morgan Chase spokesperson Allison Tobin Reed via email. So, a little bit of a problem. I don't know how much a lot of these teachers are depending on that bonus, but it does kind of suck. And then another story out
Hold on,
Florida.
this guy ran 26.2 miles. He ran a 5:09. He ran 5 minutes and 9.
That was his average.
His average pace was he was running a 5:09 pace. So his overall average for 26.2 miles he was basically running a mile every 5 minutes and 9 seconds.
Yeah, sounds like you got some work to do.
That was well, he's probably 20 something too. There's a great website called Athlinks, so you can type anybody's name. He was first place out of 207 men, and his age group was 25 through 29. So crushing it at 5:09 pace. When you watch these professional OCR athletes like Run Savage Race, those guys are running a 5-minute pace while doing obstacles. So it's like I'll never be a Ryan Atkins who's running a 5-minute pace, 6-minute pace while including obstacles. It's just insane.
Got a Florida man story.
Florida man. Go ahead.
I don't know if I know people like this. I'm kind of glad I don't. I don't know if you know any people like this.
Probably.
A Florida man tries to trade in a vehicle from the same dealership he stole it from, according to police.
Dumbass, because there's no VIN number on there.
Lake City police responded to a report of a stolen vehicle at a Chrysler Dodge Jeep dealership on Monday. Employees told the officers that a man was trying to trade in his vehicle for a new one, but upon checking the VIN number, they found that the vehicle was stolen from the dealership's lot a few days earlier.
I got it on Facebook Marketplace. And then found I couldn't afford
The man admitted to stealing the vehicle, police said, adding the crime was captured on the dealership's camera system. He was obviously arrested on charges including grand theft of a motor vehicle and criminal mischief. This sounds like a guy who's looking to go to jail.
Just
like maybe life was just too rough. He's been institutionalized for a long time, and he said, you know what? I want to be back in. And I guess why I'm thinking that is because I am definitely down the rabbit hole on 60 days in. So been checking that out. And then we got the big news. I'm sure everybody's already heard.
Hold on. I have something for that. Here we go.
And now, breaking news. R&B superstar R. Kelly.
I had that story pulled up. Go ahead.
He finally got his comeuppance. Convicted in sex trafficking trial. This is coming from the AP. R. Kelly, the R&B superstar known for pissing all over little girls, allegedly, also known for his anthem, I Believe I Can Fly, was convicted Monday in a sex trafficking trial after decades, not 1 decade, not 2 decades, but decades of avoiding criminal responsibility.
Not only did he do it, there was a video of it that we all saw back in the 90s, and it took this long.
Numerous allegations of misconduct with young women and children. A jury of 7 men and 5 women found guilty, 54. Kelly, 54, guilty of all 9 counts, including racketeering, on their second day of deliberations. Only 2 days. Kelly wore a face mask below his black rimmed glasses, remained motionless with his eyes downcast because, you know, he's going to go to prison, but he is going to be the one they will take advantage of. Doesn't matter his star power.
Hold that thought. I just thought of something. It's going to be quite sad, but go ahead.
Prosecutors allege that the entourage of managers and aides who helped Kelly meet girls and keep them obedient and quiet amounted to a criminal enterprise. 2 people have been charged with Kelly in a separate federal court case that is currently pending in Chicago. He faces the possibility of decades in prison for crimes including violation of the Mann Act, an anti-sex trafficking law that prohibits taking anyone across state lines for any immoral purpose. Sentencing is scheduled for May 4th. So he's got a while. He's going to be probably, I don't know if he's going to be hanging out in jail or if he's going to have an ankle bracelet on. But, yeah, R. Kelly finally got his, comeuppance.
Let's see. Oh, I'm pulling up the Grove City High School yearbook from 1997.
I hope that wasn't your old class song.
I think it was, but I'm trying to verify. I think that was our class song. Best dressed, most notable. I'm trying to find the damn page where it has all that shit listed. I see best musician, best blah blah blah, most best car. Where the hell is it at? I am almost
class song.
I am almost guaranteeing you, and I'll have to update you guys next week, I guess.
Ours was Van Halen's Right Now, I believe.
Yeah, I know it came down. I think I can believe I can. Here, band, sports team, restaurant, teacher, radio station.
Whose radio station back in
99.7 The Blitz, baby.
Not CD 101, the one and only one.
No, now it's CD 102.1.
2.
Mustang, Abercrombie and Fitch, Ohio State Buckeyes. Romeo and Juliet was the movie. TV show was Friends. Where the fuck is the song? I could have sworn our class song was I Believe I Can Fly. Oh.
I would not doubt it.
For some reason, it's not on here. They have
I
the
bet
color.
you and every other
pissed.
graduating class, and was that 98?
Class 1997. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Class song from Grove City High School, 1997. I Believe I Can Fly. Fantastic. Our class
Like
song
a jailbird.
is by a deviant, child molesting pervert. Our class motto is life is a journey, not a destination.
Oh, it's been a journey.
Class flower, the white rose. But, yep. So how's that for representing your graduating class? You know what's funny? I haven't seen most of these cats, with the exception of the few I follow on Facebook, since 1997.
Me
So
neither.
when I look at the photo, this is exactly what they should look like. This is exactly what I think about these people. This is what they look like. They don't look like
And
the
if you
40-year-old
happen to go
versions.
to a class reunion, it's going to be like, who are you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you see them on Facebook, you're like, wow.
Well, I do got a sad story that we're going to end on.
Okay.
Hundreds of migrating birds.
You're trying to say the fact that my class song was I Believe I Can Fly is not a sad story?
Well, it's gonna segue well into this next story.
Okay.
Hundreds of migrating songbirds crash into New York City skyscrapers. I believe I can fly. This week, and they had died crashing into the city's glass towers. A mass casualty event spotted by the New York City Audubon volunteers' tweets. This has got to be horrible to see. Showing the World Trade Center littering with bird carcasses. This week's avian death toll was particularly high, but bird strikes on Manhattan skyscrapers are a persistent problem. That
They see the reflection, don't they?
Yeah, they it's just like we've seen them crash into house windows, right?
Yep.
NYC Audubon has documented for years. Stormy weather on Monday night into Tuesday contributed to the deaths, according to Caitlin. We had a big storm and sort of weird weather and lots of birds. And that's sort of the perfect combination that can lead to bird window collisions. It seems like the storm might have brought the birds in lower than they would have normally have been and just caused us the problem. They did rescue 77 to send for recovery. But, yeah, that is sad. And it kind of reminds me, we've got these on State Line down in Jean on the other side of California. There's 3 huge solar power plants. And these are the solar that's actually the mirrors that reflect the light up into a tower. So it concentrates. So any bird that flies over usually comes down as a smoke bomb. And if they're pigeons, I'm kind of good with it.
I was going to say the pigeons, yeah. And we all know what happens with, there's a certain breed of falcon or eagle that would get killed around the windmills out there, too, because of the
there's no free
of,
lunch in nature. And every time you try to do something environmental, there's still going to be the compromise on the other side. But outside of that, I have no more news.
This concludes the evening news, and now back to the ACT Computer Studio in Cape Coral, Florida.
As you just heard, this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast is brought to you by our friends at ACT Computers. ACT Computers has been providing IT solutions for all of Southwest Florida since 2004 and the rest of the world since, let's just say 2010. And that means if you don't live in Southwest Florida, they can still help you via remote login in their website. So give them a call, 239-283-1120, and they can help you. And if you do live here in Southwest Florida, you need computer repair, screen repair, if you need to help figure out why the dim buttons don't work on the HP laptop you just bought 4 days ago, give them a call at 239-283-1120. You need that screen repair on your laptop with the touchscreen that got the glass broke, they can help you. Give them a call at 239-283-1120. You need network expansion, new computer rollouts, they can help you. Give them a call at 239-283-1120 or go to act-capecoral.com or find them on Facebook. Thanks to the new Patreon subscribers that we have. You guys are helping to support the show. And I don't know if you guys noticed, Larry Venturino was on tonight. We didn't have to do the, we're going to stop and come right back nonsense, because thanks to Patreon and some of the fellows over at the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast, we have gotten the basic bitch Zoom taken care of, and so now we're in a higher-end Zoom. And if you guys want to support the show, head over to d-410.com, click on that Patreon link, and sign up. It's $1 a month, or $7.50 a month, or $3.50 a month. There's a plan that accommodates your wallet. If you do sign up for the $7.50 a month plan, after month 2, you'll get a free T-shirt, and we do send out free stickers and whatever we're demoing stuff. Gordon, you and I, maybe Mike from the Tackle Your Personal Best podcast, who's in the chat right now, we need to get an OG5. I actually need to get Henry Sledge and Jeff Copset on there too. We need to bang out a big digital 410 network party podcast for the OG5 to
There
get
you
up on
go.
Patreon.
Absolutely.
And if you haven't done so yet, please head over to YouTube. We are 15 likes away from 500. Still far cry from 1,000, but hey, halfway mark is great. So help us get to that 500 marker. And I have been live streaming the shit out of TikTok in the last 3 days. Been doing fishing videos, and I have accumulated 77 cents through gifts through my live stream. So we are.
You can almost
well
buy
on
a
our
piece of
way.
bait.
Almost. Well, this is before TikTok takes
Maybe
their
one fish hook?
60%. But
How much is a fish hook?
I have a brand new pack of Spear Point Performance fish hooks coming at $5 a pack for 5. These are the best fishing hooks out there. I bought 2 packs just because if you only buy 1 pack, you're paying more in shipping because shipping's gone through the roof. So I actually have 2 packs coming because you can't buy them locally. I got them in a mystery tackle box a few months back. They are the best fishing hooks ever. Michael's probably not agreeing with me, but they're great. The hookups are always through the side or top lip. I lost my last one, so for the last 3 days I've been fishing with a standard EWG extra wide gap fishing hook, and the last 3 days I've had 4 hooks swallowed because I don't have my spear points. So the spear points you rarely get a swallow. They get great hookups on them, and so yeah, I've been going out on the kayak doing live streams and getting follows, and people are putting cute little icons that are worth like half a penny, and I got so many, I'm up to 77
Is that what they call
cents.
a non-fungible token?
No, they're called gifts, and they have different levels. It's, if you're watching someone's live stream and you appreciate it, you put these gifts up there, and they can collect the value of them after a while and tap out. But anyhow, please go and like us on YouTube, and that is going to about do it for this episode. On the behalf of Larry Venturino, Gordon Abernathy, and myself, this has been another episode of the What's in Your Head podcast, and we will talk to you all next week. Next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.